what it means. It means that AI
Hello, VC.
Hello.
Nice to
Good
finally
morning.
sit with you early morning.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, for the first time, we are sitting to kind of discuss AI. I mean, we
Yeah.
have a lot of conversations around
Yes.
AI, quite a lot.
Yes.
But I think it's the first time we are doing things very publicly. We did our AI results and we also moved here.
Yes.
So I think, I think we want to go more deep into just discussing what we are doing, what you're, envisioning. It's probably also going to help me figure out what you are expecting out of me the next
Yes.
going year. So I think what I really want to start with is just understanding that when you started Cars24, you would have a description in your mind that 10 years down the line, this is what Cars24 would do, or you were envisioning it to build. I really want to understand how has that description of yours changed. That if you meet someone who doesn't know anything about Cars24, how would you have described to them when you started versus today? What's changed in that post AI world for you?
Yeah. First of all, thank you to you and to your teammates and many other autonauts at Cars24 who have helped me distill what AI really is from beyond just being a buzzword that everyone is talking about, but does not really fully understand. And I think I am also on that journey of really understanding what it really means and feel that I've made significant progress on that front thanks to you and several other folks who are truly AI native. So thank you for that. See, when we started Cars24, I think the mindset was very much of an adventurer who's embarking on a mission that is their own, is going on a direction that nobody else has before, and just going to create my own thing was very, very exciting. And I think Mehul and I used to discuss initially that if we ever create $1 billion company, then this is it. We would retire. This is 2015, right? When there were barely any. So that was the goal. But I think once we actually became a $1 billion company, I think the realization was, okay, what next? And then the transition started happening in my mind that we need to make great products. We need to solve customer problems even better. What else can we do for the auto category? And then you realize that there is just so much more we can do. There is so much, right? I mean, the number of things that we can do versus the number of things that we have already done, I think we would never be able to catch up to that. And that's sort of what became my motivation post 2020. And what it means is that it has been a harder journey, right? Many people get surprised when I tell them that my first 5 years of Cars24 were actually easier than the next 5. And that really makes people wonder how is that possible, because starting up is harder than anything else. And I think the reason for that is that the last 5 years has truly been a reinvention for myself, where I am focusing on how can we be 100x better, and looking for answers that don't exist, and just constantly trying to raise the bar and do things in the ways that has never been done before. And that's really hard, right? It's exciting, but it's also very, very hard, right? It's like you are trying to deadlift more weight than you have ever done, or trying to reach the benchmark of what anybody in the world has done in the best way. So that's interesting. And that's where AI is just an opportunity that I love, right? I think that in my 15 years of working experience, there have been several waves that I have seen. Right? Internet was a big wave, internet, and then e-commerce on internet, then the whole UPI phenomena, and many such waves that I saw came and happened in front of me. This is the first time I'm feeling I'm positioned to catch this wave, right? It's like I feel like a surfer who was in the sea and the waves came and went by, and I was there, but the waves came and went by. I couldn't stand up on my surfboard. This time I feel that I'm well positioned. I can see the wave behind me. I just have to paddle well and stand up on the right time, and I can catch this wave. So that's really exciting, because it's like the opportunity I've been waiting for 15 years that I can make my own, and AI truly feels that to me. And the last 5 years where I've been thinking there are 100 things that we can do that we have not been able to do, and how will we ever do them, because even just our category there are just so many problems to solve. Suddenly all of them, for achieving them and beyond, I think the timeline doesn't feel like 10 years anymore. It feels like it can be like months. So that's just crazy when you think about it that way.
I think one thing that I really want to understand is when you use the surfing analogy, when you're about to catch a wave, you have like a couple of seconds, a minute to kind of just do the right things and catch that wave. What do you think is the arbitrage window now for you to actually catch that wave? Like, is it like, okay, we have a year to kind of still figure out that flywheel, or do we have months, weeks? What do you think is like that timeline in your mind that you have to catch this AI wave right now?
Yeah, I think if you are in the ocean trying to look for a wave, as the wave approaches closer to you, you have to start reacting in microseconds, nanoseconds. And I think that is exactly what's happening, because the pace of progress is actually accelerating. We have discussed this several times that I think something flipped in December when the new models arrived. From the conversation shifted from developers saying, "Oh, the agents write so much of slop and we have to physically review," to saying that, okay, we don't need to do anything. It can be all done end to end. I can have agents review the code or themselves have it shortened or made better. So just the whole conversation flipped. In like 30 days ago, we were talking about we are writing too much of bloat. And in next 30 days, we are like, okay, no, this works. The bloat concern was not a real concern. And the second realization for me was that what is true for coding is actually true for everything, right? So if our coders are saying that they are self-sufficient and they don't need teams anymore, right? Forget 10 people. They are saying that we need like handful, just me and couple of people. We can build anything that would take 2 years. We can build it in 2 months. I think that extends to every role. That extends to my role as a founder. What it means that AI is truly powerful. We just don't know how to use it well. So yes, the timeline or the arbitrage is really short, right? Because soon enough, everyone will learn to use AI. But there is this short window, maybe it's just few months long. Definitely not more than a year. If you can catch this wave, you can really get ahead of the world, right? You can do things that you have been thinking of doing it in decades. You can do it in a year. So yes, I think that's the exciting part, right? The thrill of catching this wave. I think you can just get ahead dramatically in everything that you wanted to do.
So when you see that you're about to start catching that wave, or you're making that progress, right? Like in business, of course, we are very metrics obsessed, right? That's while you are not bound by metrics, but you see it that you're directionally heading well. For you, what's that Northstar metric that you're saying that, okay, if this is moving for me or this value is moving for me, I'm headed in the right direction for you?
Yeah, I think, see, we should be able to do more with less, right? I think that's definitely one of the big things with AI. Everyone can do things with their own hands in a much bigger way. We need less delegation and coordination, which means that smaller teams should be able to achieve far more. So I think that revenue per employee is a metric that is way more important than ever before, because anyone who uses AI well can 10x that metric and can do that fairly quickly. And it ties to what we were discussing earlier, that 10xing that metric likely means that you are able to do your 10 years of plans in 1 year. So I think one can accelerate growth dramatically, and one can do more with less. And I think that's a beautiful state everyone wants to be in, right? You don't want excess layers and hierarchies and people just delegating things to each other. What a beautiful world where, in the team, everyone is a creator. I create something and you create something, and we barely have to delegate each other. We have to barely manage each other, but our 2 + 2 becomes 20. I think that's how artists work, right? Like, that's how a band works, right? Like, it's a bunch of musicians. They're not delegating and coordinating with each other. So I think it's a beautiful ways of working world ahead, where there is less of delegation and managing and more of creation.
Yeah. I think one thing that you mentioned in our H2 results was that we got 50% growth in revenue per employee, but now you're targeting 3x this year, right?
Yeah.
And we operate in a very thin margin business, right?
Yes.
And the target that you're setting is very similar to like a SaaS company, right?
Yes.
Like SaaS companies really target that growth because they operate with very heavy margins. They are living in a very digital world.
Yes.
So where do you see that growth coming? Are you seeing that 50% of it is from revenue growth or 50% of it is being more with lean? Because for you to get 3x and grow that revenue, you have a much bigger challenge than any other SaaS companies that you. So what do you envision that revenue per employee growing is coming from?
Yeah, I think there are two parts to your question. I think part number one is that we are in a thin gross margin business. So are many other businesses. And such businesses have to be really paranoid because when you look at new teams, younger entrepreneurs, they are not talking about teams in size of thousands or hundreds. They are talking of teams, handful of people in a team achieving $1 million revenue per employee, right? Now, what happens when such people, AI native kids, come and say, look what Cars24 is doing with 8,000 people, I can do with 800, right? And I can pass all the benefit of that expense to the customers, right? I think that's a big disruption that is very likely. Now, before that happens, why don't we do that to ourselves, right? So that's something that keeps me paranoid, that in a low gross margin businesses, and there are many businesses like that, one has to become AI native way faster because otherwise you will get disrupted on your whole cost base. Now, how do you do that? I think, there is numerator, revenue per employee is that Northstar metric in my mind, and there is numerator, which is how fast you can grow revenue. And then there is denominator on how many people you have. You can increase the numerator, you can decrease the denominator. I think our focus is squarely on increasing the numerator. I think the denominator, I believe, is already happening, is decreasing by itself because sadly, many people are still naysayers, right? And we believe, we have taken the bet that AI is the way. In their minds, either they don't believe in it or they think they love the status quo, right? And they don't want to become AI native. And, it's a competitive world out there, right? So somebody else who is AI native will take their seat. So who will do, 10 things that earlier needed 10 people to do, one person will be able to do that. So I think it will be a mix of increasing numerator and decreasing denominator. We are trying very hard at Cars24 to build that culture where everyone becomes AI native. Our focus is entirely on the numerator. Sadly, some of the denominator will take care of itself. But I truly believe and hope that everybody at Cars24 and beyond becomes AI native, which is why we are so vocal about not just using enterprise licenses, but also buy your own personal licenses, right? This is going to be a tool. It's a utility that we will not be able to live without. So get started now. We are already late.
Yeah, I think one thing that you mentioned is that a lot of people specifically have this naysayer attitude that AI can't do this, AI can't do that. The slop word is very easily thrown around to kind of, or maybe AI is like the easy culprit to pick for failures or things not moving, right? So there is like two sets of divisions, right? Half CEOs believe that models are going to grow on a steep curve, that you need speed more than perfection, that if it's a product is good enough, you need to just catch up with the speed, versus some people think it's like linear scaling laws are holding, that models are going to grow very slowly, so you have to spend more time in building perfect products. Which are you a believer in specifically?
I think what happens in life, the reason many people are naysayers and are stuck in the status quo is because they haven't tried it for themselves. Seeing is believing, and until you get your hands dirty with the tool, you don't see the magic. Because and it's true for me also. Like until I was hearing how magical it is from you all, but not trying it myself, I wasn't able to feel that magic, right? So it's like seeing is believing. is true because it's just impossible to imagine it otherwise, right? Imagine early 1900s and people are imagining, okay, what does a car look like? If you have not seen a car and you're still on a horse, there is no way you can imagine that you can move way faster than a horse can ever make you move. So you have to get onto the steering wheel. It's the same thing happening now that sadly a lot of people are not getting their hands dirty. Many of us have believed that being on chat is being AI first, which is not the case. I think that's table stakes. Everyone needs to get down to using Codex and Claude Code or whatever another tool they want, but to really sort of feel it for themselves and build something on their own. You have asked me several times on what have you built over this weekend, and that really pushed me to start doing. And it just it unleashes itself, right? You have to learn to use it. LLMs are the brain, but you have to give it hands and legs, and then you have to learn how to use that well, and that takes time. But every day feels like a superpower.
Yeah, I think specifically we were discussing once that we need people who use AI like their second brain, not their first, right?
Yeah.
And use it like faster hands to kind of do it.
Yeah.
So specifically on that, right? Of course, while we are looking at decreasing the denominator, which is happening naturally because of, I would say, Darwinian in nature.
Correct.
How are you kind of looking at talent now, right? Because we're doing a hackathon which is like specifically targeted to builders. You yourself are like the IIT, McKinsey, MBA kind of traditional line that most people used to look at as early indicators of that I have a higher probability of succeeding if I have this sort of talent. Do you still that holds true, or have you seen that for yourself as well that has completely changed?
Well, I have been telling my friends who have kids in colleges, and I'm telling my own wife for Ivan, who's still way younger at 6 years old, that like the school and the college in the traditional way and the traditional careers are now completely gone, right? It's just completely disrupted. So I think like everything is reset, right? So your pedigree, your titles don't matter. Let me tell you something that I believe is what people are not getting, right? There is this narrative going around everywhere that the junior jobs are gone and the senior jobs are safe because you still need thinkers and you don't need as many doers because Claude or Codex can do a lot of things for you. Well, technically that's right, right? But who's getting hit the most by this? The young people who are still in college or who have just started their career. They have already been hit by that, right? Because there are not as many jobs as they used to be. So what do? They start upgrading themselves because they are already hit by a problem, right? What do seniors do? Or people who have 5 years or 10 years of experience? They are sitting back, right? Because they have not been hit yet and they have self-consumed by this narrative that, okay, the freshers have gotten hit and the seniors have not, right? So what is going to happen is that these 25-year-olds are coming for the jobs of 35, 40 years old, right? They are coming for my job, right? And I firmly believe that because they have upgraded their skills. They have become truly AI native much faster than what most people with tenure are doing. And we see that in our own organization, right? There are some young people that we are working with who are, when given a task, they are coming back by the evening with the task done, as opposed to people with experience who first believe in planning and then doing alignment and then thinking pros and cons and then getting their hands at it, because they're used to being on a horse. They just don't know how fast a supercar is because they've never tried it. They have never seen it. So I think everything is reset. I think your college, your past experience, my past experience, it's all day zero. It's like you and I and everybody else is starting from the same start line, and the sooner everybody sees that, the faster hopefully they can become AI native. And if they don't see that, as you said, life is Darwinian.
Do you see that the average age of your org is going to come down soon?
That's likely to happen because as you get older, people are just more slower to change. And as we discussed, right, I think this has hit the younger people already, right? Because there are lesser entry-level jobs. Content can be written by AI, code can be written by AI, analysis can be done by AI. So these kids who are coming out of college, they are like, okay, these jobs are gone, which is how I started my career. But look, this is there is an opportunity in this crisis. I don't need to do those jobs anymore. Those jobs were anyway more manual work. It was not that exciting for anybody, honestly, to do those things, right? It's not that anybody after 10 years wanted to write codes, right? Which is why we had this whole problem of managers and engineers as opposed to coders and engineers. So these young kids are like, okay, I can do much more now than what I had to start my career with. So they are starting their career now, not with coding, but probably thinking like a engineering manager that I can, handle multiple problems at a time and so on. So yes, I think it is quite likely, almost certain that the average age for any AI native organization will go down dramatically. It is bound to happen because the tenured people will struggle. And I hope they prove me wrong by listening to this and focusing on being AI native. And that's, like I said, it's as much true for me, right? That I need to buckle up or I also get disrupted by this.
So I think very cool thing you mentioned is like it's day zero now. So we're kind of entering into like saying that we're rebuilding Cars24 from scratch in some ways, right? I think a very similar kind of company in the market is Kavak, right? Operating out of LATAM, in the same business that we are operating in. In some ways, the market of cars being less trust-based in LATAM, similar to India, that's happening, right? That you have, it's more trust than anything else, right?
Yeah.
When they did that shift to Agentic, right? They said that they actively said that we're going to rebuild to be Agentic. We're going to let go of all our baggage, but they traded that with a flat year, right?
Yeah.
That they said that we had to take a flat year of growth and then rebuild us into Agentic, and then of course we 4x'd in size the next year, which is a trade-off that they said. But given that the world has changed in that 1-2 years, right?
Yes.
Like your speed has moved. Do you still feel that you have to take that flat year? Because as we are very seeing that, hey, we are targeting very ambitious goals. We are publicly making $100 billion goals, right? Also, milestones like going public soon, things like that. Do you feel that you will have to take that flat year, or do you not have to take it, or do we not have an option to take that flat year because of the competitive landscape that we operate on?
Yeah, no, I think Kavak has done a great job and they have been ahead of the curve. But the technology has evolved so fast, and what was not possible 2 months ago is possible now, and what we thought was not possible, is not possible now, will probably happen in next 2-3 months. So I don't think we will have to take a flat year. I think it's just a mindset shift. The problem is the tool is the car is ready, right? The driver has to show up. I think that is the problem. That is to be solved, and I think we will solve that problem at least at Cars24 very quickly. I think that's urgent and important, and it's honestly more important than anything else. I think it's right now being AI native is more important than IPO, right? Because AI native is the means to any end, right? Whether we want to significantly increase our productivity, our profits, and even becoming a public company. If we get this AI native right, if we truly get on to this wave, then I think everything else will take care of itself. So I think that's sort of my singular focus.
So for the year ahead, right, I think, again, I feel most people have this traditional view, right, that software has become commoditized, right? That tech companies had this moat of, that their software is their moat, that the capabilities on tech that they have built is a moat. But as these coding agents, AI has commoditized this moat, right? Some people feel that moat is completely gone, that moats don't exist anymore, right? Which is very similar to the analogy that tomorrow 2 kids in a garage could kind of disrupt us. Versus there's a contrarian view that your moat is the ops that you have built over the years, the data that you have collected over the years, and AI acts as an accelerator on top of that moat. So what kind of a belief do you have in terms of, do you take the traditional view or the contrarian view in this space?
Look, I think, software building has been like capex in the modern world, right? Like how earlier the barrier to entry used to be building factories and building physical infrastructure, and over time that became like building software because not many companies can hire a lot of software engineers who will first build for a few years, and then you will start seeing the benefit out of that. So I think that definitely is gone, because anything can be built like really fast, and really fast is like in weeks now, not even in months. So I think that's gone. But I think the whole network effects still stay, right? I think, which is if you have proprietary data, if you have a flywheel, I think all of that sort of still holds. But ability to move faster is even more important. Because what happens is that with AI, if you automate a lot of your day-to-day work, and you can automate it way more than what you could do 50 years ago, was possible with the internet. Now with AI, you can automate way more than what you could do before. And then what does it mean? You do more value-added stuff. You pick up harder problems, right? You go after challenges that you thought were like impossible to go after. So yeah, I think all of us need to sort of take bigger, bolder goals, and that's the only way you will be able to stay relevant.
I want to understand where your goals are going to go. Like the one thing that I want to understand is in the next 5 years, where is your capex investment? Like where your next 500 crores of capex investment is going to go? Because that directionally tells me that where you're going to invest more over the years. Like where do you see your capex going up when you become more AI native in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think two parts to it. One is definitely, I think tokens will consume a lot, right? I think today we think of AI primarily as this software layer, but physical AI will also show up. That will then show up in the ways we do work as well. And so that will definitely take up a lot. But beyond that, I think, look, auto as an ecosystem is a significant part of GDP for any economy. And we are building in the 5% of that value chain. So that 95% of the value chain that we earlier thought we will never touch, or we will touch over 10, 20, 30 years, is something we can start touching right away. Because with AI, with internet, with technology, we can solve those problems in a much better way. It's just that your ability to dream and go after those becomes and trying to solve those problems become much faster if you are truly AI native. If you're not, then of course you can't do it.
Yeah, I think we discussed, like you said, that we can kind of now go after newer targets, right? That you can kind of reach those things that you wished you could do maybe 10 years down the line, but you could do it much quicker. And I know you have been experimenting a lot with AI. I think you've moved beyond experimenting at this point. So what is your wishful feature that today that AI can't do, or maybe sort of can do, but you feel that the day that the capability shift moves and AI has started to achieve this capability, that it would be truly game changer for you personally, or maybe for Cars24 as a business? What's that single wish that you feel that these AI companies are going to solve in their model as a capability?
I think, since the time I started playing by it myself, I think a lot is honestly already there. It's just that, the tools around the brain, the whole harness and everything, that is something that we are building ourselves. And over time, I think building those will also become much simpler. So I think a lot of those capabilities are already there, Jayesh. I think the challenge is imagination, right? And I think that imagination only comes when you do it with your own hands. And once I started doing it with my own hands in some time ago, is when I realized that, look, everybody needs to do it with their own hand, because right at this point, I think the tool is far ahead of our imagination, right? Of course, I would love to see physical AI, right? A lot of things that we do with our own hands don't have to be, or as humans don't have to be done. And again, those are grunt jobs, right? And everybody can advance to do more creative stuff, value-adding stuff. But even today, I think what exists, the limitation is our imagination, not the tool capabilities. A lot of conversations are happening around but AI cannot do this and AI cannot do that. But the reality is it can, right? You have to just give it the right context. You have to just set it up in the right way, right? Yeah. The brain needs its hands, legs, and the entire setup for it to go along, which is where I think hard work is. And it takes hours, it takes effort, right? It takes, even the simplest of agents can take time to build and refine. So I think that's sort of where the limitation is.
I think for me as well, right? I think now models have gone beyond our expectations. Right? Earlier we used to measure math benchmarks. All of that have been saturated. Now it's just people are discovering use cases that are surprising them when they're trying to do, right?
Exactly.
I think for me as well, like my work has more shifted from looking at screens to just a chat window now.
Yes.
I think I am just kind of moving more and more of my work to a conversational experience. Now I'm not even typing, I'm using maybe Whisperflow to kind of just think
Yes.
and like to speak it out. Maybe someday it's going to be only think it out and those kind of things happen, right? So are you seeing a very similar shift in terms of your day-to-day work? Like, do you feel that you're spending more time on a chat or agentic interface versus actually looking at screens or opening?
Yeah, I never thought that terminal will hold so much value for me, right? And that's where I believe that I truly love this new wave, because if I do my work and you do your own work, and our 2 + 2 becomes 20, I truly believe that, right? I think what's for me is truly liberating is that I don't need to come to you, go to analytics, go to an engineer, and ask them to do something on my behalf. If I have to, right, iterate on my social media posts, I can do that with the agent. I can autonomously post it with my agent. If I have to understand our PNL or some metrics, I can do it end to end, right? I can make it fetch the metric, I can make it slice and dice, I can throw problem statements at it and tell it to generate 10 new hypotheses. I can do it all by myself. I don't need data from anyone. I don't need any Google Doc from anyone. I don't need to sit with anyone for the review, right? And what we have been now trying to do at Cars24 again is that everyone just does their own work. Like meetings should now literally be stand-ups. Why do you need a meeting for more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes? The only purpose of a meeting now is just alignment. That's it. Because finding the problem, finding potential solutions, going through several hypotheses, all of that can be done in the background with the agents. So when we get together, we just look at, okay, these are the 5 things and you are doing this and I'm doing this, and then we go back to just doing it by ourselves. I don't need to coordinate with you in doing that. And I can see that getting unleashed in my own work. For so many things I would go to all of you, come to, but I don't need to anymore. Like everything that I am asking somebody else to do it for me, I am critiquing myself and saying, why couldn't I do it myself? So all my workflows, literally all my workflows, for me, my personal goal is that all my workflows should be automated, right? And that's sort of how I become AI native. And if every one of us does that, it's a beautiful way of working. Like I said, it's a band, right? You are playing your instrument and I'm playing mine. We don't need to spend time managing each other or delegating stuff to each other.
I've personally seen that, right? I think in all my experiences that you notice that as orgs become older, right, founders, go more strategic and become less operators. But I have like personally seen you become more and more of an operator day on a day basis, that you are able to do now both. And I would say more 10x every day, that you are now operating more and more and more and more, right?
Yeah.
I think that shift has been very tremendous for the org, because it's also becoming very easy for you to kind of deliver your vision, because you're now also in the trenches, but you're also creating the battle plans for it. I think generally, I think that's one thing that founders need to take away from it, that you don't have to be just a strategic thinker right now. You can be more of an operator and you can do both, right? It's an and choice, not or anymore, right? I think, and I think that's what you're trying to inculcate as we move to this next topic, where we move to a flat hierarchy, right? And we kind of changed titles to just builder, right? Like it's very similar to how tech companies use just member of technical staff. We went more bold and went builder, right? Why do you feel that was very important? Like without it, we couldn't be AI native. Like why?
Because I think builder is the only role left, right? I think if you are not, we are back to basics. We discussed the skills, the talent, your experience, all has been reset, right? Anybody can learn whatever somebody else has done for 10 years, 15 years in days now using AI, right? It can really make you catch up on the experience also. So everything is reset. You're back to learning. It's like all of us were great horse riders and suddenly the cars have shown up. Now what happens? We are all reset, right? There is no point trying to win a race of horses, because a car will beat you any day. So your 15 years of becoming expert on riding a horse is no longer, I mean, it's a good as a hobby, but it's not useful for work. So I think that's literally what's happening. So I truly believe, and I think I'm glad that all of us believe, that builder is the only role left. I think the whole, this hierarchy, title, designations, these are artifacts of the past. The sooner we realize it, I think the better it is for everyone. These are not relevant, and gladfully, I'm very happy that these are gone because, they have become power games and status games, which does not help any company, right, in adding value. If I have to do 80% of my work myself and you have to do 80% of your work yourself, why do we need titles? We are just a group of people who are hungry, who are creative, who want to go where nobody else has gone before, and we just come together and do great stuff. Right? We don't need to manage each other. The information is now fully visible. The wisdom is fully visible. The knowledge is fully out there. So all you need is intent. So I think builder is the only role in the foreseeable future.
Did you feel that there was a trade-off that you had to let go of something that was working when you moved to this flat hierarchy, or do you feel like there's nothing that you couldn't?
No, absolutely nothing. And I wish I had done it even earlier because absolutely no trade-off. Because, letting go of designations and titles and just flattening the org is sum total of everything that we discussed. Because we believe that your tenure, your experience, your pedigree does not matter anymore. We believe the age doesn't matter anymore, right? We believe that what really matters is curiosity. Nobody needs to babysit anybody. Nobody needs to follow up with people that what got done and what did not get done. So what truly matters is just being a builder. Does everyone believe that they can do things on their own? I think we are in that beautiful, lovely age where everyone has to think like a builder as a founder, right? Everyone is a founder. Everyone is a founder, right? And that's what it means, right? You don't need any hierarchy. You don't need any titles, right? We just simply do problem to person mapping. There is not even a role, right? I think more than titles, I think what people get really surprised is when they hear me talk about that there is no role, there is no salesperson, there is no people person, there is no analytics person. All that matters is problem statement backward. Who wants to raise their hand or who thinks that they can give it a shot and do it in the best way? Because honestly, with AI, you can be an analyst or a marketeer or a legal person, whatever. So again, the roles also don't matter, right? And I think that sort of we have probably gone a step ahead in how we are trying to think about this. That it's not just about designations, but forget roles. Just come every day and ask yourself, what problem are you solving? Stop constraining yourself that you sit in a box that, I have been a finance guy for 10 years. It doesn't matter. If you're not AI native, whether you are finance or legal or analytics or coding, it does not matter, right? And that's the other thing, right? I think a lot of people think that AI is coding because that's the only thing that largely gets talked about. I have had this discussion with our finance folks and they realized it, which is fantastic, that it does not matter how high a rank as a CA they got, right, if they're not AI native. So I think that's the only thing matters. Being builder is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Everything else is overhead.
Yeah, I think there's a key thing at which these like AI labs are also doing. Like we spend a lot of time like talking to our partners like OpenAI, 11 Labs, and all these different AI labs that we work in. And the thing that we're seeing in the products they ship, right? Like a year and a half ago, the top thing was that we need an IDE when you're using AI, right? You need to see the code it's writing.
Yeah.
But now the new interfaces, even from, so let's say Cursor, whose entire model was to build an IDE where you can view code, is they've hidden the code that the AI is generating, right?
Yes.
Like now it's just the thinking that you see, it's just a conversation that you're having across the board and you just review the final output. I think directionally as well is where we are doing. So where do you benchmark yourself? Like I think in a lot of these conversations we see that you look at certain companies that you say, okay, this is a benchmark that we can kind of learn from, or an ecosystem like let's say SF that we really talk about, that we really want to look at SF. So where do you benchmark yourself against that? I think this is the next milestone. I'm not saying that's the goal, but where do you find your next milestone to reach?
Yeah, I think we have been paranoid very publicly that we have a long way to go. I think the conversation around here is still people asking each other, "Tera chal raha hai kya? AI se kuch fayda ho raha hai kya?" Right? Like, I mean, because when you ask that question, you are essentially at like step -1, right? You're still wondering about whether this works or not, right? And when we look at companies like Ramp, Intercom, even OpenAI and Anthropic and how they use AI, I mean, like one of the metrics that we keep discussing, like how much of PRs are being raised by non-engineers, not even product people, but business people. Now, this is truly democratization of even coding, right? And it's happening, right? Ramp in their latest tweet said that they are up to 70% of code of PRs being raised by non-engineers, right? Which is incredible. So, yeah, I think we have a lot of catch up to do, and I think we can. We have to just. I think there is an opportunity that we're not realizing is that like we have to really set. We are behind, and we can set standards for the world, right? I think AI flattens that out as well. If we are hungry and curious, we can be a benchmark, right? Right now, we are learning from some of these companies which have been AI first, and we can be shoulder to shoulder with them and do. And I think several things that we are doing at Cars24, like the whole our Aero platform and many other things that we are building, truly are examples and testaments of things that we are doing for setting a benchmark for everyone, right? I think OpenAI and others have come and made you come and talk about the platform, Agentic platform that we have built, so that the world can learn. But I think it's important for us to be hungry and paranoid and believe that we have a long way to catch up. And there is, right? There is so much work we need to do on the context, as an example. So yeah, I think exciting. And I think the way we are moving, I think in a quarter we can really be neck to neck with any AI native company. And there are only handful, right? So I think we are setting a very, very high bar for ourselves when we say that we have a lot of way to go to catch up.
Yeah, I think one thing I really saw the shift on was that, until 2025 end, the conversation on being was AI first.
Yeah.
But 2026, that word first changed to native. Like, what's the difference in your mind in being AI first versus AI native?
Yeah, I think that realization that it's not a tool, it's the way of life, right? It's not, this is like, this is me, right? And like this is the AI is how I do anything and everything, right? My muscle memory has to evolve to start with AI, then start with a human, right? And I think that is why consciously shift from saying AI first to AI native, because it has to be, there is no other way of doing anything, right? We have to just fully develop that muscle.
Yeah, I think the one thing that in this conversation that happened, like on my card, it's written, like I wanted to ask you that how does an AI native Cars24, or what does AI going to change for Cars24 in 2027 or 2028? But as the conversation goes on, I think the physics is continuously changing. So I'm going to ask you, what does AI do for the Cars24 in the next 3 months? Like, let's only talk in the next 3 months because we don't know what the world is like. I'm not going to talk about years now. Let's talk in days, weeks, and months. So what's the next 3 months looking like for you?
I think next 3 months we are going to automate a lot of grunt work, especially in this office right here, right? At like the at the headquarters, at the corporate, right? Like from finance to marketing to legal to people. I think the whole journey is end to end can be run by agents, right? Like we are discussing, each one of us don't need a physical org, but we need the agentic org, right? I think you have hundreds of agents running for you that you have to now literally set up a org to manage them, and so do I, right? I have yesterday, as of last count, I think 40-45 agents running. I'm also retiring some of them. But I think we all have orgs. It's just that they are no longer physical orgs. In the digital world, we may still have those hierarchies and titles, but in physical world, we are just builders. And so I think I really look forward to doing again like years of work on performance marketing in weeks now, honestly, right? And I think the builder hour that we did last week is just a fabulous example of that, right? That we're not talking about automating parts of workflows, and you have said this several times to many of us that we're just reimagining the workflows. We're not saying we're automating performance marketing. It almost the imagination in anyone's mind is, okay, there are 50 steps in performance marketing and we will take 40 steps and we will automate them. We are saying, no, we are reimagining it, right? It's an agent, a digital twin who is going to run it for us. Right? They will decide what creatives, what platforms, what budget, and when, how, what, everything, right? And I think that's just a game changer, right? Like how in the demo last week you showed us how all of you showed us that how two agents are iterating on a creative copy until it gets perfect. I think it's beautiful. In physical world, that takes days. In digital world, with agents, that takes seconds, right? But they have still done their 10 iterations, right? So I think that's what I'm looking forward to, where we all have our own agentic org and we are 10x more productive, and then that will show in our Northstar metric of revenue per FTE.
Yeah, I think exciting times ahead. I think this conversations like got me pumped up, and I think we have our work cut out for ourselves.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Vikram, for taking the time to talk to us.
Great to start the day discussing AI.
I mean that's daily.
That is AI native.
Yeah, I mean that's daily for us now.
Yes.
I think the one thing that I see is that conversations. You say that you know what a company is if you know their water cooler conversations, right? Now the water cooler conversations are about AI. Lift conversations are about AI. It's about
tokens.
Yeah, tokens.
Give me
Claude,
more tokens.
Yes, open AI. I think it's exciting to be here, and I think 3 months down the line, it's going to be the place to work here at Cars24. But thank you so much, Vikram.
Awesome.
Lovely talking to you. And thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's get back to building more agents.
Yes, thank you.